Hello, my name is Daniel Conyers, and at long last, this is going to be a video on Wonder Woman. Just a heads up, there are going to be spoilers in this video. Personally, I don't think spoilers really affect your the movie, your experience of the movie all that much. But if you are one of those who don't like spoilers, this is your spoiler warning before we get started. So without further ado, this is Wonder Woman, the good, the bad, and what I would have done. So this is the good. Where do I start? There's so many good things about this movie. I'm just going to cover some of the big ones. First big one, character. Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot is impressive. You can tell she took the role seriously. You can see the difference from her in this movie to her in Batman vs. Superman. She does a really good job playing this very strong, she's naive, very innocent character who really, really, really wants to do what's right. And then you got Chris Pine. And Chris Pine's got a little bit of red, and he's got wood. He's surprising. I love him as Captain Kirk, but he was surprising. He does a really good job being the counter to Wonder Woman. She believes that in order to save the world, she gotta stop Ares. She has no idea what the outside world is like, and he believes he's a bit more of a practical individual. He believes in order to stop the world, stop the war, or to end it, is to stop this German scientist. So they're constantly going like, well, we gotta go stop this, take the, tank, we gotta go over here. And it's like, no, we gotta stop Ares, no, we gotta keep going, we can't help. And so they're constantly going back and back and back and forth. The chemistry and the humor, I mean, at one point they're talking about whether it's appropriate or not to sleep next to each other. And that whole thing is hilarious. Very, very good. He's really cool. Then we've got, who else he also does a really good job representing the gray in humanity. That's a big one, because it goes to the overall theme of the movie. He's got kind of a ragtag group of people along with him, and each one does a really good job representing the type of gray within humanity. One is a Native American who, in all intents and purposes, shouldn't even be involved in fighting in this war, given the oppression that white colonialism has bulldozed over his people. But he does anyway, because not only is it the right thing to do, but not every white person is against him. Then you've got the sniper, who is PTSD, and he's killed people, but it's clearly affected him on a deeper level. And then you've got the actor, who in all intents and purposes should be the coward of the group. Sorry, actors, but he instead uses what skill he has to fight in this war and end the suffering. Finally, some of the visuals are amazing. I'm always cautious about action sequences where you pause for kind of no particular reason in the middle of the action and then you cut. It throws everything off. But Patty Jenkins does a really good job showing when Wonder Woman's coming in and she busts into this and she kicks this guy and she stops and she pauses. And where she pauses is you could Snapchat the picture and it would be pretty cool. But then she speeds it up, and by speeding it up, you're somehow drawn into it, because once she speeds it up, you follow her. Really good job, flows really well. And I know I said finally, but I actually have one more thing. The film does a very good job making subtle political statements. Diana being the only woman in a room full of political men making decisions about a war, pretty relevant. The actor saying he can't make it as an actor because of his skin color, subtle, quick, but enough for people to kind of go and recognize what is being said without the statement overshadowing the overall narrative. It's quick, sophisticated, gets to the point, and then it moves on to this with the story. Impressive and very, very well done. So that's the good. The bad. There really isn't any. And what's bad is more me being nitpicky. Like dialogue. One of the issues in this movie is some of the dialogue is a little too much. In particular, the phrase, I love you. I believe that using the phrase, I love you, is a sign of an insecure writer. In particular, an insecure screenwriter. Because screenwriting is so visual. To me, when I hear the phrase, I love you, in a pivotal moment, kind of tells me that the writer is not confident in the buildup they created to convey the emotion of love, that they're just going to drop those three words and say, okay, just to make sure it gets across. It's a little bit of a cop-out and a bit of an insecure move. It was so perfect. You had Wonder Woman, Trevor, they have a very Casablanca moment at the end. He has this really awesome line. Then he hands her the watch. And it's Chris Pine. And those fucking eyes. You almost cry. And as he leaves, he says, I love you. And it just is a bummer. Not a death blow. I still almost cried. Wasn't expecting that. But it was a bit of a downer. Next we have Ares. Now, I do appreciate that the movie learned in the trailers what not to do. And they learned that from Batman vs. Superman, and that's do not show the big bad guy in the trailer. I was very happy to see Ares, and it was surprising what he looked like. He was awesome. However, Ares is played by David Thewlis, and I know I just butchered his name, but it doesn't matter. He played Professor Lupin in Harry Potter. I think he's a very underrated actor, and when you have such a good actor in a part of a villain, as I mentioned in my Pirates of the Caribbean video, you gotta use him. And they didn't really use him to his potential. That said, I get why. They wanted Ares to be a bit of a twist. Ares' influence is all in the background, so if you have his character too much in the foreground, it kind of takes away the message and the effect that you're going to get at the end. So with Ares, I was bummed, but I get it. That's the bad. Alright, now what I would have done. Really isn't anything. There's nothing I would have done to this movie that I think would have made it better. Probably would have made it worse. And in particular, I'm going to talk about the reason why is the No Man's Land scene. One, it's one of the best introductions to a superhero character I have ever seen. Not because it's the first time you see her in her outfit, but it's all the weight that she carries in that scene. And you don't get that weight without everything that happens from the first half of the movie. So, and I'll kind of show you. Alright, the No Man's Land scene happens in at the midpoint of the second act. So that is usually called the point of no return. Or it's the first taste of blood. It's the first time the protagonist sort of gets their hands dirty, experiences the struggle and the terror of the journey. In this particular movie, it's the trench scene. It's the first time she puts on she has the outfit and reveals it. She wears the outfit throughout the movie, but she reveals it at that moment because it's an important moment. Throughout the first half of the movie, it's suffering. She's seeing the damage war has done. Now, granted, she attributes it to Ares, but that doesn't really matter Because to us as the audience member, we know it's not Ares. We know it's the terror of war. And yet here is this rather innocent person who, through sheer belief, inspires hope in the people around her to push forward where they thought it was impossible to do so. I just want to make one more note about that. The point of no return. I personally like it to be right around here, about the end of the first act into the second act. And this movie actually does that. When Diana leaves Themyscira, there is pretty much, you bet, she ain't coming back. If she does come back, it's not going to be a warm welcome. So, again, a big positive. But I wouldn't change it. This movie accomplished what many comic book fans have been waiting for. And that is an honest representation of a comic book character in a comic book kind of cinematic film. I want to set aside Logan, for example, for a minute, in case somebody wants to offer a rebuttal. Logan is a movie in its own category. I'm talking about a superhero movie that exists in these cinematic universes where it's more comic book-ish. Wonder Woman is the first one to show a character and what they represent in a way that hits you right in the gut. She rises out of the trench, pushes forward because it's the right thing to do, yes, but also, without her even knowing it, she inspires hope in the gray. She inspires hope in the people who you wouldn't expect too much of them. And I think in the society we live in now, in the political atmosphere we're currently under, the sense of fear, dread, it is comforting to know that, okay, you may not need just one person, you don't need to be a superhero. All you need is that hopeful push that you just have to try. You just have to do what you think is impossible. And you just be surprised of what you'd be able to accomplish. The whole thing reminds me of Batman's line in Batman vs. Superman, where he's talking about Superman's unchecked power. He says, if there's a 1% chance he'll go bad, we might as well take it as a certainty. The film does a wonderful job arcing Wonder Woman as a character who would oppose that. By assuming there's a 1% chance of evil, you're neglecting the 99% chance that they would do good. And that's the whole point of her recognizing the beauty in the gray. So, is there anything I would change in this movie? Probably not. And if I did, I'd probably just mess the whole thing up. Well, actually, there's probably a 1% chance that if I change it, it would be a masterpiece, but I would probably bet that that's probably not going to happen. So that's Wonder Woman, the good, the bad, and what I would have done. Go see it. Can't say enough good things about it. So that's the end. Please visit my website, danielconyers.com. If you're interested in short stories, screenplays, they're on there. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. Next is going to be The Mummy. Now, I'm a big horror guy. Horror is my genre. Horror is typically what I write in, typically what I watch. I've been looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this whole, kind of the kind of monster universe they're creating. The whole monster universe. The werewolf, Frankenstein, everybody. They're all going to be together in a cinematic universe, and it's going to be a monster mash. Gonna graveyard bash. So I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you everybody for watching. Please leave a comment below if you liked it, and if you didn't like it, it doesn't matter. And I hope to see you again soon, ish. Yep.